We have previously presented the brand new Skoda Elroq to you in a traditional review format, which included a comprehensive and detailed driving report. And today we want to take this car onto the highway and see what it consumes at 100, 120, 140, 160 kilometers per hour. We want to do the charging check, see how long it takes to go from 10 to 80%, and of course, how well its assistance systems work. Then on the highway, it has a lot to offer, from adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, steering assist, all the way to lane change assist. All of this nicely compacted in a video, along with the review and the driving report, which you have surely already seen. I'll link them again in the video description for your convenience. Then you'll know everything about the new Skoda Elroq. I would say let's not waste any time. Please check if you're part of the simple electric community. If not, we'd be thrilled. Supporting us with your subscription is free for you, but it helps us grow the channel. Now, let's not waste any time and hit the highway with the brand new Skoda Elroq 85. We kicked things off with the Skoda Elroq 85 heading toward the A20 highway. This particular route serves as our dedicated test track, where we've put almost every vehicle through its paces, consistently conducting our 20-kilometer stints in the same sections to ensure reliable comparisons. Let's begin by having a discussion about the base model. Here, we are dealing with the 85 variant. This means an electric motor on the rear axle with 210 kilowatts, 286 horsepower, 545 newton meters of torque. Today we have 8 degrees and sunshine, and we have winter tires mounted on aftermarket rims by Borbit in black finish. You probably saw that in the review with the manufacturer. If not, feel free to check the link again. In the description, the full video is linked. Car and winter tires shown, Stefan.
We have winter tires and a mix for braking. Yes. 235 front, point. 255 rear, both on 19 inches.
Exactly, so by mixed braking, Stefan means we have disc brakes at the front and drum brakes at the back. Where the drum brake likely doesn't offer much aerodynamic advantage or disadvantage, who knows. And we're looking to start doing the stints each of 20 kilometers together with you. Average speeds. That means we consistently drive at an average of 100 kilometers per hour over 20 kilometers and then read the consumption from the onboard computer. That's somewhat different because we generally have unobstructed roads on our highways in Mecklenburg, which allows us to maintain average speeds comfortably. Please don't mistake that for setting 100 on the cruise control while driving on a heavily trafficked road. Then your average speed is likely around 84 to 85 kilometers per hour. Remember that, because some say, hey, it uses too much. Certainly, but it consistently maintains a high average speed. We have now arrived at the A20 highway. I've configured the adaptive cruise control to maintain a steady speed of 100 kilometers per hour. You can clearly see that on the display, and we're now going to reset the onboard computer together so we can observe how it performs over the next 20 kilometers. What does the Skoda Enyaq consume? We've turned off the air conditioning AC because it's 8 degrees. We just need the heating function of the probably installed heat pump here. And of course, we've configured it to the eco mode, aiming to ensure that the car achieves the best possible level of efficiency and fuel economy available. I recognize that some of you might prefer the comfort mode. However, we still opt for eco mode for as long as feasibly possible to ensure that the car delivers the very best it can offer. The time before we actually receive the value can be filled nicely by talking about the array of assistance systems available in the new Skoda Elroq. There really is quite a lot to discover as we have the full range of tools from the VW Group right here. This includes the adaptive cruise control system, which adjusts the speed to maintain a safe distance, the steering assist, and also a lane departure warning system on board. Additionally, we have the lane change assist, which means we are provided with semi-autonomous support, helping us when we want to initiate a lane change maneuver. We're going to try that out now by turning on the indicator. But it's not working for some reason. I'm unsure why. But it's definitely enabled in the system settings. Make sure to check how it operates in each car. In some, tapping the indicator and keeping your hands on the wheel is all that's needed. For some, you actually have to lock the indicator in place properly. So, considering that, I wasn't even using travel assist. I was likely just in adaptive cruise control. Let's see if he does it this time. We've got the blind spot assistant with us, and naturally we're very eager to see if it truly works as expected in real-world practice. But he still doesn't do it. The Skoda Elroq seems to be a bit stubborn today, doesn't it? Maybe I've made yet another minor user error here. It does have a tendency to happen occasionally. I really can't figure out why it won't switch here either. It all seems a bit strange to me, almost like something is off. But actually, he should, since he has the steering assistant, he should also do the lane change. In the menu, we've essentially gone ahead and activated the lane assist. We've also included the ACC, and we additionally have the side assist with the lane change assistant. All functions are active here too. As you can see, the lane change assistant is on, yet I can do whatever I want. It just doesn't carry out the lane change autonomously whatsoever, so I really can't say why. It just doesn't seem to want to do it.
There are occasions when it's just like that.
We have gathered our initial consumption figure and we drove 20 kilometers consistently, maintaining a speed of 100 kilometers per hour, resulting in an average consumption figure of 19.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers traveled. Yes, I'm now putting the adaptive cruise control to a speed of 120 kilometers per hour. You can clearly observe how nicely the Elroq adjusts and smoothly maintains a steady pace of 120 kilometers per hour while operating in eco mode. I'm going to speed up right now, reset the readings in the car's onboard computer, and then we'll examine together at a steady 120 kilometers per hour to understand better how the fuel consumption appears. A good electric car doesn't just involve proper route planning, which pretty much almost all vehicles can manage by now, but particularly in the case of an electric car, it also requires effective and efficient charging planning. All that may be combined with reasonable voice control, which might do more than just sentences you have to memorize beforehand, would be kind of a dream.
That would be truly wonderful.
And of course, we definitely want to try that out here in the Skoda by saying, "All right, Laura, please drive us all the way to Munich to Viktualienmarkt 1.
All right, Munich Viktualienmarkt 1. Wishing you a pleasant and safe journey."
The process was seamless, offering comprehensive route and charging plans. This approach is essential and very helpful, ensuring a relaxed and stress-free journey. Every detail is planned, giving you peace of mind and confidence as all aspects are efficiently taken care of. Very nice. You can also expand the details here to see precisely how long you should charge at each stop and what the expected battery level will be when you finish the charging session at each location you stop. Arriving like this can be fully verified here, clearly showing you'd reach your destination with about 11% of the battery left. Then it advises you to charge for a duration of around 30 minutes to get the battery level up to 78%. Regarding the planned route, I must say, that's truly a great feature to have included. However, the only improvement I'd suggest seeing is the option to choose specific charging providers yourself. If you prefer certain networks like Unity, NBW or others, having that choice would be quite beneficial and useful. That would indeed be a really valuable addition, of course. Yes, what you can most certainly do is determine the range at your intended destination or the range at the specific charging station. I find that super practical too, because many of you, like me, also like to run the battery almost completely empty. Others need more of a safety buffer. For example, I often aim to arrive at my business trips during the day with 40 or 50% charge, and then maybe charge on the way back as I can't charge at the destination. You can easily customize these settings individually within the system. We now have access to the subsequent consumption value. We drove at 120 kilometers per hour on the speedometer. It shows 119. Over 20 kilometers, this corresponds to a consumption of 25.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers driven. Yeah, I need to switch over to normal mode now, otherwise it simply won't allow me to set the adaptive cruise control to 140 kilometers per hour as I want. So we're switching over from eco to comfort mode, accelerating now to hit 140 kilometers per hour. It's achieved that speed now. I'm resetting the onboard computer, and we want to find out over the next 20 kilometers how the consumption develops at 140 kilometers per hour. Canton sound system doesn't sound bad, right? Costly dot. But let's see how the bass thumps in a moment, shall we? Awesome. Featuring clear highs and robust mids, Skoda, in collaboration with Canton, has expertly developed a sound system that genuinely sets itself apart as exceptionally remarkable.
classic. I definitely like them.
I believe the additional cost might truly be worth it for those who are really into audio. We've traveled 20 kilometers further, and just like before, we're checking the consumption together with you once again. The onboard computer now shows an average of 137 kilometers per hour. We have a consumption of 31.7 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers driven. This means we already have an exponential increase in consumption now, but that's naturally also a bit influenced by the design of an SUV. We may also have today a bit of windy conditions. That's something we often experience up here in the north, a bit windier. Overall, I think that anything over 30 is already quite decent. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, yes. That's increased exponentially as well. It's consistently around 5 kilowatt hours. So now it's indeed slightly more than before. Let's have a look at what we get at 160.
That means we will shortly be making the U-turn and once again measure the speed of 160 kilometers per hour in the opposite direction with all of you. I'm really curious where we'll eventually end up. We've made the U-turn for you and are now proceeding at a speed of 160 kilometers per hour. I'm resetting the onboard computer so we can closely track how the fuel consumption progresses over the next 20 kilometers. We will be carefully monitoring any changes to gain a better understanding of the vehicle's efficiency in these particular conditions. We can use this time wisely and more productively by having a discussion with you about the various aspects of travel comfort. Here's the Skoda Elroq on the highway, likely a fantastic choice for long-distance road trips as well. And there we naturally have a neutral medium to compare all the tested vehicles with each other, essentially creating Stefan's seat of the pants meter. And today we want to see how does it register.
Yes, I personally find the seat to be very comfortable. Of course, I have to manually adjust everything here. That's not really nice for a 55,000 euro car. I mean, mine is electric, you know? Yeah, of course, sure. But I can adjust the height. I can pretty much do everything I could probably do electrically. All considered, it's genuinely not bad at all. The lateral support is truly excellent, and the thigh support is fairly decent as well. The seat surface is definitely sufficient for me. I like the headrest. That's very comfortable. So, in terms of suspension, with a 2.70 meter wheelbase, give or take, you can really feel the bumps in the road at high speeds now. It still bounces a bit after bumps, but overall I'd say the suspension is quite okay.
Yeah, it has a firm yet comfortable feel, and while it might still come across as very comfortable on country roads, you can definitely notice its firmness more clearly when you're on the highway, I believe. That means it does react to things like bumps, transverse joints, lane waves, those kinds of rough unevenness. However, it comes through a bit more noticeably than expected. We've certainly tested numerous other vehicles equipped with adaptive suspensions in the past, which were considerably smoother, or the more expensive suspension systems that included air suspension. You certainly can't compare all those options directly. I just want to emphasize that it's not the most comfortable vehicle out there, but you'll definitely discover that for yourself during a test drive. We're now hitting 160 kilometers per hour after just 16 kilometers. We're at 33.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. We've just made the U-turn. Maybe today we even have a little light tailwind today, but unfortunately, the traffic simply doesn't allow us to complete the entire 20 kilometers. And if we had accelerated up and down, we would have ended up with a distorted value. Yeah, I would say compare the Skoda Elroq, even though it was only 16 kilometers on the last stint, with the other tested vehicles. I think most of you won't be driving at an average speed of 160 kilometers per hour anyway, but rather below that, especially on long-distance trips. And I'm really curious to see how all of you would evaluate the Elroq's fuel consumption, particularly in comparison to other vehicles that are in the same class. What I really like about the VW Group, and therefore also with Skoda, as we've already shown you with the Cupra Tavascan, is that we basically have a battery optimization, which it selects almost independently. If you have a charging station in the navigation system, it would sort of activate the battery heater on its own automatically, ensuring that you always get the maximum performance and efficiency at the charging station. And of course, you have the option to manually start the battery heating, just like I did now, because I didn't want it to be included in the consumption values, as they would have logically increased the overall energy consumption unnecessarily by warming the battery. We should reach up to 175 kilowatts at the peak here. I basically started the battery heating system. We've got approximately 20 kilometers remaining until we arrive at the charging station. On the way, we'll also engage in some energy recuperation activities. Should it be necessary to ensure the battery reaches the optimal temperature, enabling it to perform at its peak at the charging station efficiently. This time, we won't arrive with 10% like usual, because unfortunately, the dealership didn't hand over the car with the appropriate battery level, but with significantly less. So today we also need just a little bit extra from dealership Eschengrund. Thank you for allowing us to film your Skoda Elroq here. You guys are a great dealership, but somehow we ended up with a bit of a low battery from you, and now we're kind of cruising on the highway at 100 being eco-friendly. I feel like I'm behind the wheel of an American muscle supercar here.
We're not doing hypermiling.
Look, we're even passing the route control service here. That should still be quite adequate, and we are most likely going to reach the charging station with approximately 2 to 3% of the range left. But as you can see, we are improvising everything just for you. We are putting in all our efforts to make sure you always receive the absolute best and most accurate information on this channel. Skoda, what exactly are you trying to do with us? Yes, I've entered our target location, the Demmerland rest area in Ionity, directly into the navigation system here. That's 20 kilometers and the car's remaining range is 29. So in essence, we have a 9-kilometer buffer, which for some reason seems insufficient for it, because the system wants to charge at the Tesla charger in Gützkow instead. To essentially, as I'm understanding it more clearly at this moment, no, Total Energies also seems to have, no, it's definitely the Tesla supercharger, right? Yes. Should we then basically recharge a bit more so we can easily reach our planned destination at the Demmerland rest area, which is in about 19 kilometers? It doesn't really make sense if I still have 10 kilometers of range left to charge somewhere else first and then charge at the Demmerland rest stop. I sometimes wonder what the programmers are actually thinking with that. I mean, if I'm able to reach the designated destination calculated by the onboard computer with around 9 or 10 kilometers of remaining range, there's no need to recharge, is there?
Well, especially at a consistent speed. Normally it goes back up at R now. We know that.
Right, because we're also coming from higher consumption due to usage patterns. Sure, we reset the onboard computer again, but that's where I don't really get the navigation systems and the logic. Maybe you guys have an idea. Feel free to write it in the comments. Believe it or not, Skoda got it right. I just stubbornly drove past an exit like a true Mecklenburger, and then he said, "No more charging stop needed. You can reach your destination." Skoda can do it, right? Simply clever. Now, unbelievably, the Skoda actually cancelled the preconditioning process on the final stretch when it was at 4%. We're now at 3% charge. It would have fit well with optimized charging. We still have 10 kilometers of range, and up ahead is the Demmerland service area. I'm wondering, where's the logic in these engineers? They know how far it is to the destination. They understand exactly how much conditioning is needed to achieve maximum power. And they just stop uselessly. Although we still have 3% remaining, we can still drive approximately 10 kilometers. And he's now taking away the chance, and of course also from Skoda, the car, now here to show you with maximum performance how the car charges. And I find it really super unfortunate and disappointing that Skoda decided to stop this here, because it truly wasn't necessary at all. We would have definitely reached our destination. The battery would have been perfectly preconditioned. And for some reason which I really can't comprehend, feel free to write those reasons in the comments below if you happen to know, just stopped. Why Skoda? Why? The pillar also shows 3%. It's building a nice charging peak now, but probably not perfectly preconditioned because it just stopped on its own. Yeah, now we're at about 125, 126 kilowatts. It's supposed to go up to 175 max, Stefan. With Skoda, it always depends on the battery pack installed. So, for example, the X variant can, because of different cell chemistry, I believe only reach 135 kilowatts at peak. Yes, it's all somewhat jumbled up, and for us frontrunners, it's naturally quite a bit of a difficult challenge to remember every single detail. Now we're at 146 kilowatts, which is really quite nice. So let's discuss how you could potentially optimize or even reduce your charging costs in a significant way. We thoroughly enjoy taking advantage of InCharge's complimentary kilometers for all of our charging sessions. You can find InCharge in a web browser or as an app where you have the opportunity to collect free kilometers through affiliate links via online shopping, by rating charging stations or completing certain challenges. This way, we've already managed to charge more than 50,000 kilometers for free. If you're interested in getting a charger, I've conveniently included a helpful link for you down in the video description. Yes, it continues with Skoda. We're at 7% after a minute, charging at 162 kilowatts. Skoda is delivering. Perhaps he thought, before Ollie doesn't make it there, I'd better switch off the preconditioning instead. Nah. Before he ends up needing a helper to come and tow him, but I think it would have all worked out perfectly. We would have arrived here with 1% or 2%. Stefan, what do you think?
Yeah, and above all, it's never really certain if that 1% is actually 1%. You've got a bit of a buffer, I think.
Oh, do you mean there might still be a tiny bit left over, sort of like how it used to be back in the day in the tank, There used to be about a hidden liter of fuel in there or something like that. Well, we're at 165 kilowatts and at 9% after 2 minutes. We've already managed to recharge nearly 5 kilowatt hours, and it's certainly worth taking a moment to commend the Volkswagen Group, along with Skoda, for successfully achieving what the American supercar manufacturer hasn't quite been able to accomplish so far. Consistently focusing on enhancing their software capabilities while also continuously improving their charging performance. And thus, even with the smaller batteries, charging times 1080 with the 50er at 52 kilowatt hours net, 24 minutes is possible. With the 60s at 59 kilowatt hours net, then 25 minutes, and here it should be 28 minutes. I'm curious to see if it can handle it. And there we have them, the promised 175 kilowatts from the factory specification. 16% in 4 minutes, a solid 10 kilowatt hours added. It works after all, and yes, 175 kilowatts is okay for a 77 kilowatt hour net battery. Sure, quicker is always possible, just like with the ID.7 GTX Tourer model. There we had the slightly larger battery with 86 kilowatt hours, so 9 kilowatt hours more. He even put, I think, 200 kilowatts or 205 kilowatts on the table for us here. So in that respect, VW is moving in the right direction, and with the Americans, it's a bit, I don't know. By the way, the new Tesla Model Y is coming soon. I'm curious how it'll fare at Ionity, and don't tell me I should charge at Tesla instead of Ionity. We consistently do our charging at Ionity, Aral Pulse, or EMBW to maintain this level of comparability. I wouldn't drive an Elroq to a Tesla supercharger either. How would I even do that? As expected, we're hitting each charging peak now. 175, 177 kilowatts at 30% charge, 8 minutes have passed, 23 kilowatt hours have been recharged by now. He's performing that impressively well. Let's take a closer look at the Elroq from the exterior together. We've already shown it to you in detail during a thorough review with a test drive. Link is in the video description, but we want to quickly review the key facts again. Completely new design. The new design line presented by Skoda in the Elroq. Finally, that rooster or whatever it was is gone. Nice lettering, hood slightly lowered, beautiful power dome, black light bar with 360-degree cameras. The pixel design here is a bit like Hyundai. Perhaps even then very nicely designed again. Below that, you always find LED headlights, and in our test model, we even have advanced matrix LED headlights along with air curtains. For optimal aerodynamics, as you've observed, you understand the advantages it provides. Instead of selecting the regular factory rim, we made the specific choice to go for an aftermarket option from Borbet. Nice in glossy black, it looks quite performance-oriented, but I could imagine it might also potentially cost just a little bit of range. During the winter months, when every precious drop and kilometer matters, it's about ensuring maximum efficiency for me. Yes, the exterior design showcases a stunning moon white pearl effect that adds elegance. It's also available in the Sportsline edition for anyone who wants a sportier version. You get appealing chrome and aluminum accents that beautifully decorate the gloss black features. Personally, I believe I might actually prefer it a little bit more at that particular spot. Yeah, I think the rear end is also quite a treat. It's beautifully designed. Strong and sturdy, really. The whole Elroq actually looks wider than it is with its 1.88 meters. It features these indicated air outlets, reminiscent of what we're perhaps familiar with from the design of Mercedes AMGs. Depending on the trim level, you can even be equipped with an electric tailgate, offering a generous 470 liters of cargo space for your convenience. I think that's super awesome, especially in this size here with a length of 4.48 meters. It's one of the largest trunks, and that's what Skoda is known for. We know that from the Enyaq with its good 580 liters. So, a trailer hitch can be installed with up to 1 ton of braked trailer load at a 12% incline, and later in the all-wheel drive version, this increases up to 1.2 tons. Roof load is possible with 75 kilos, and the space availability, you'll see all that in the interior section, also in the classic review with fabric. Be sure to have a look at the link provided in the video description. A 50% charge after 14 minutes. We've added a solid 39 kilowatt hours. It's still charging at 121 kilowatts. That's quite decent. I'm really curious to know how much more time it'll take to reach the 80% mark. From 3 to 73% in 25 minutes. That's indeed a great value. We've added a total of 58.5 kilowatt hours. Still charging at 84 kilowatts. That's good speed, right, Skoda?
That's nice. I'm glad to hear that. We were just talking about it, eh? Thinking about the first Enyaq we had, we were also at around mid-40 minutes or so.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, I do believe so. And that was indeed quite a really good step moving in the right direction now.
Yeah, I believe Skoda is really progressing well, along with the entire VW group. The cars are becoming more efficient, they have more power now. Just think about it, with 210 kilowatts, 286 horsepower. And how it all began, I think it was around 150 kilowatts, 204 horsepower. With 2.1 tons, that has to move too. So maybe it could have a bit more punch. I think they consciously avoid that because they probably don't want to build a super sporty car like the American supercar manufacturer. I'm quite confident the engine can deliver effectively. VW invests heavily and maintains strong focus on improving efficiency so that you have a high efficiency between battery, converter, DC, AC, and electric motors. They are heavily researching and developing. You can see that with the latest generation, that progress is being made and you no longer have conversion losses to the same extent. I believe we should go back and give some well-deserved praise to the German car manufacturers, and of course, let's not forget the Czech ones as well, right?
Absolutely.
3 to 80% in 30 minutes. We charged a good 64 kilowatt hours. He's still charging at 69 kilowatts. I must say that's pretty solid performance. Respect to Skoda, and we're definitely on the right track. Happy for it to be even faster. We know that the pinnacle might land somewhere with the new smart #5, where we go from 10 to 80%, I think with over 400 kilowatts. Probably able to charge in 15 minutes, a 100 kilowatt hour battery, so I think it's heading in the right direction in electromobility. What do you think, Stefan?
I agree, we're constantly making progress. Hopefully the new generation will soon come out, especially with the solid state topic being so current. Oh,
You mean 5 minutes, like refueling before and then...
well, it might not be exactly like that, but maybe under 10 minutes would still be cool.
Yeah, I'd be happy about that. We're back at it with the LROC85. We want to accelerate onto the highway here. I'm driving 50 kilometers per hour in sport mode, and now I'll go full speed on the 210 kilowatt rear axle 80. 100, 100, 130. 150, 160 kilometers per hour, 170, and it smoothly progresses its way towards reaching the 180 kilometers per hour top speed limit. 182 kilometers per hour is what it indicates here on the speedometer, 183. But you can feel that the 545 Newton meters push, just not with that Tesla-like punch. To be fair, it's worth mentioning, I'd really like to see that. There's a rumor going around that an RS version of the Elroq might possibly be in development soon. I'm curious to see that. I'll speculate a bit. It could make over 300 horsepower, and that would definitely give a bit more punch to a 4.48 meter car, wouldn't it? That would definitely be a great idea for sure. Stefan has run the Draghi, the performance device, and is now going to look at the values it has measured so far together with all of you. No values were recorded, right?
Doesn't seem so.
Yes, that's rather unfortunate, isn't it? We really planned to measure the elasticity using the GPS, but sadly it didn't function when we needed it to. Let's move to the conclusion with the Skoda Elroq 85. Our test vehicle here is priced at approximately 55,000 euros. Yes. During the detailed review alongside the driving report, we discovered that this model provides an incredibly spacious, modern electric vehicle that not only offers an abundance of space inside for passengers and luggage, but also provides the capability to tow a trailer or transport a roof load. Additionally, it has almost achieved its 0 to 100 performance benchmarks. I find it really cool, particularly now in these wintry conditions, just rocking it out on our test track. And yes, I also think in terms of consumption, it's clear that it's ambitious, let's be honest. Especially now, with temperatures at 8 degrees, it's starting to feel quite wintry. I imagine that during the summer months, it will likely be around 10 to 20% lower, especially when you happen to have wheel tire combinations that are specifically engineered to be slightly more aerodynamically optimized, because these Borbay accessory rims fitted on our demonstration vehicle from the author over in Eschengrund are just, I believe, definitely not consumption promoting. And so I think you shouldn't be too hard on the Elroq with the determined values. Better is always preferable, but at the end of the day, it's still an electric SUV, even if it comes in a compact size. Yes, I find the charging performance really great, especially the improvement from where we started to where we are today and where we might end up in the future. Skoda is also on the right track with the Elroq, I think, especially when it comes to travel comfort, for sure. We Europeans always desire a firm suspension. However, when I observe Europeans driving, even when we travel abroad, we embark on many road trips. Even measure it, and otherwise they're not driving that performance-oriented. Why do they need a firm suspension? They're just dawdling around, right? Yeah. So from that perspective, I find comfortable suspensions very, very good. See the suspension on the Peugeot E5008? Not sure if you saw the video. We really liked it, not just the car, but also particularly the suspension system. And sometimes I do wonder if this firmness is always the most beneficial choice, especially since many of you in the field of electromobility, they want to glide smoothly, to drive smoothly, and to maintain a constant speed in a certain range. In these scenarios, you'd strive to avoid road bumps, ruts, or those pesky manhole covers, especially when you're navigating through busy urban areas. Then naturally you want to smoothly cushion the ride and avoid bouncing around excessively, like with a lowered Golf 3 in the old days, wouldn't you agree?
God, yeah,
Wow, my God, I must say that really was a truly amazing time.
Absolutely.
Golf 3, royal yellow, nice. Nah, just kidding, but I think it's a great long-distance car. It offers a lot of interior space and plenty of space in the trunk too, with 470 liters for its size. I believe it's an absolute top value at the moment, and yes, I think the material quality is also very, very good. In the Skoda, here and there, more attention to the material mix could have helped. Maybe a bit more carpet here and a bit more there. I don't think that would have cost much more, but maybe for people who are somewhat more sensitive like me, who hears every little thing clattering all the time, they might have been able to address that issue somehow. In conclusion, it can only be said that Skoda offers really great deals with discounts. Skoda has excellent leasing and financing options available. I encourage you to stop by and visit your chosen Skoda dealer. Visit Autohaus Eschengrund in Neubrandenburg, our partner. They also offer Cupra and Volkswagen. Feel free to check them out. They always offer a great deal. I know many local viewers here have gotten their Skoda, VW and Cupra from Eschengrund, the ones you've seen in our videos. So go ahead to Skoda, take a test drive and see if they can offer you an irresistible sweet deal on the Elroq that's truly a great bargain. Might just become your next electric vehicle. We've returned to the Eschengrund dealership located in Neubrandenburg, bringing us to the conclusion of today's exciting video. I hope you'll really enjoy it. If so, please give it a thumbs up. Double check again if you're part of the einfach, elektrisch community. If not, we would be happy if you support us with your subscription, which is free, because it helps us in growing the channel a bit. We truly appreciate your support. Thank you for watching. Stay healthy and see you soon. Yours, Olli, you, Stefan. I think this daytime running light is quite nice,
I really think the front looks really nice now,
But is it truly cool with those dipped main headlights? Do you genuinely think that's cool, or do you feel like having everything combined like in the old days also offers its own charm?
Absolutely, but that's just the progression of time these days, isn't it? There's constantly something new coming along.
Feel free to comment whether you're team full headlights with all the daytime running lights and everything, or if you prefer them separate. Curious to see how you view this.